Welcome back to another episode of Skid's Garage, and today we're going to see if I can get my orange panel van running after 29 years. So, let's get into it. So today, I'm going to try my luck on getting this running. Now, there's a lot missing on it. A lot that's missing on it. I've pilfered to get my MK1 two-door running. So I'll end up just taking those parts back whilst I try to get this running. Now, this was in fact last registered in 1995, and with the condition I got the car, I would suggest it hasn't ran much after that. So I got a feeling this is going to be challenging. So, wish me luck, and we shall get stuck into it first by putting everything back together and making this engine as complete as possible. Then we'll go through the motions of seeing if we can get it running. So, let's get stuck into it. So, I've been having a look over this and seeing what I need to get done to get it ready to try our luck getting it running, and it's going to be a very ambitious task. So the carby, missing heaps of bolts on the top here, so the top's only held on by, I reckon it's two screws. Now I have to locate them to make this carby work, otherwise it's going to probably suck air through and get a vacuum leak. But on top of that, I'm missing the nuts that hold the carby down, so I have to locate some of them. I need a whole heap of vacuum hoses, so I need one that goes from here to that goes over to here, and then one from here that goes up to here. That should sort out all my vacuum leaks. It's either that or I do something like loop from one side to another. I just need to block these off so I don't get a vacuum leak. So I've got to overcome that. I've got no throttle cable or really anything to do with the throttle. Now with the distributor, the Vacuum Avant has two ports on it. So it's got one at the back here and then one up here. So this one's already connected to the carby. Unsure if the other one has to be connected anywhere. I'm going to assume that I'm going to be able to get it running without that, because that's all Vacuum Avant stuff. Hopefully I can get it running without it, but we'll see. So I need leads. Well, to be honest, let's see what it looks like under here. It actually looks relatively clean. Oh, the points are looking a bit how you're going. But bit of a clean up, she should come back. Otherwise, that's not too bad. So I shouldn't have any problems under there. Thank God there's nothing missing. But, I'll pick that up later. But I've got no spark plug leads. Well, I've got them, but I've got to put them on. All these are loose, so that have been moisture getting into the cylinders. So that's going to be fun. So what else is there? Oh, the coil. Who knows if that's even going to work. And all the wires that come off it are pretty well crusty, not connected to anything. So this one here goes to the distributor, so I'm pretty confident that goes onto the side that's not connected. And then this side here, I assume, or one of these anyway, would go to the battery. So I assume that's through the loom and connects up to here somewhere. I can only assume, but we shall find out. It's missing a positive and negative cable, and I'm sure there's more. Well, there's obviously radiator, fan, all that stuff missing, but none of that's I'm going to worry about at the moment, because I don't need any of that to get this fired up. So I'm going to tackle into it and scavenge around for some parts, trying to avoid taking it off my Mark 1 two-door, because I don't want to touch that, but if I have to, I will. And then I'll make a list of things that I need to replace. So that's what I'm working with at the moment, and I'm not feeling overly confident. So let's get stuck into finding these missing parts. So I've pulled the top half of this carby off, other than there being heaps of dirt and garbage in there. It's complete. So fingers crossed this cubby works. I have found more screws to hold the top half on. Still trying to locate some nuts to actually hold the carby onto the manifold. Having a bit of trouble with that. I don't know where they are. They'll be floating around somewhere, just a matter of finding them. I did have to find this arm and connect that so that this choke part, where am I? Right here. That fouls off with the throttle. So you got to connect that up to the top half, which is actually this part here, and which lifts it up and out of the way. I did loop this over to stop any vacuum leaks. This is, I think this was a transmission hose, so it was so difficult to cut with my side cutters, but hopefully that'll fix that. Now I do have some leads that I've got, haven't connected them up yet, but I'll take these plugs out and I'll turn it over, see if I can turn it over by hand first. Fingers crossed I don't run into the same problems as I did on my two-door. Fingers crossed it's not seized in any way. And yeah, I'll keep poking along with it. So what I might do now is actually take those plugs out, and I'm going to show you me trying to turn it over by hand, and fingers crossed it does a full rotation. So cross your fingers for me. So I've got the spark plugs out and they're looking to be in good nick, so that's a good sign. Now what I'm going to do is chuck a bit of WD-40 down the cylinders, just so when I turn it over there's a little bit of lubrication there, and it's not just, if I've got any left. Doesn't look like I'm gonna have much luck. I reckon it's running low. Well, that's less than ideal. There we go. I reckon it's because this can likes to be upright. So There we go. This little flexi hose on it is handy. And there we go. Don't have a lot left in the can, so I might as well just use it up. Then, knowing my luck, I'll need it on something else and I won't have any left. That's generally how it works. I think that'll do. Now I'm going to turn it over by hand and fingers crossed it doesn't get, it's not locked up. So you can see there the crank pulley has seen better days, so who knows what the history of this engine is, but I'm suspecting the history of this isn't great. So there we go. She does turn over. Let's see if I can do a full rotation. Well, it actually feels quite smooth. Well, that's a good start, because anyone that's watched my Mark 1 two-door videos, I had stuck valves which was giving me grief. It took me quite some time to free up, but this engine seems free. So there, I've turned it over a couple of times. I'm going to chuck those spark plugs back in and call that a success. So, chuck the spark plugs back in and I'll tighten them down, chuck the leads on, and that is one step closer to seeing if this runs. More missing parts that I've found. Got no fuses, so that'll have to be pilfered from my two-door. Otherwise, I think I'm aware of all my missing parts. So I'm going to chuck these plugs in, tighten them up, put the leads on, and then keep poking along at trying to piece this back together. So this is where I'm up to. Now, battery's a bit dicky, so I've got it connected to the Falcon, so I get a good solid 12 volts. Get it all connected up here. And I forgot, I'm missing the starter motor. I put that in the two-door because the starter motor that was in that car was a bit broken, so it wasn't doing its thing. So I pilfered the one from here, so I need to get that one back and reinstalled. Now, at the moment I am trying to get spark to the distributor. So my understanding is, and I could be completely wrong, but I'm fairly sure this one here is the power to the coil. So that then runs to the positive. So that should run power to this side here. Now I've checked and I am getting voltage there. I've checked on this side and I'm getting voltage on this side, meaning I should be getting voltage to the distributor, which means when I come and open up the breakers, the points, it should spark, but they don't. Unsure why, but I'm going to dig in a bit deeper and find out why. So at the moment I have no spark, and it will not run without spark. So I'm going to dig into that and see if I can find out why and see if I can get some spark. So after messing about with the wires down here, hoping that they ran over to the coil, it was very temperamental. I was getting some power to it and then next minute it would cut out. Not sure if I was actually getting correct readings on my meter, but I was having problems with it. I couldn't get any power to the actual points, so I've given up and just gone straight from the coil to the battery. So that's this wire right here, and now I've powered to the points or to the distributor. Let me try to do this so I can show you. It's all about the angles. Okay, so without zapping myself, you can see there. Oh, can you? Yep. Yeah, you can see that on camera. I've now got spark at the points. So I have ignition. So I'm one step closer. So I'm going to put that all back together, and I am going to have to peel for those bolts from here for the carby off the two-door, and all the fuses. So I'm going to get stuck into that. So just some for just some insurance, I'm putting in a new rocker cover gasket, because my experience with my two-door, oil went everywhere, well, when I was filling it up, but I've undone this. You can tell this one's seen better days. It's absolutely trashed. So I'll go ahead, do that, then I'm pretty much running out of time today to continue on with it, and I'll organise another day to come around and continue on with it. So let's do this gasket. Also, I found some nuts for the carby. So the carby all secured. I reckon that carby's pretty much done. And timing, I haven't timed anything in yet, but I don't know what engine this is, but the only marks they've got are those two little markings there on the crank pulley. That's all. They don't actually give any positive or negative advance timing marks. That's it, top dead center. So I'm gonna have to work with that. If anyone actually knows what engine this might be, I think it might be a Cortina engine. I'm not entirely sure if it's a 1600 or a 1300. It's a bit dark down here. I know you can see it all right. The block finishes with HA. Oh wow, this is, let me clean this up. That way, hopefully someone can actually tell me what engine this come from. So let me clean this up and I'll be right back with you. So I've given it a quick clean up, but unfortunately it has got darker because it's getting dark quick these days. But I can't get in there. But it says 681F 6015 HA. So if anyone knows what this engine might have come from, let us know. So that's it for today. Got that rocker cover gasket on, and just like everything else, it's missing bolts. One back here, I only got two. I put that one in, and the one back here, put that one in. So I'm missing that one and the one at the front. So I have to locate something for that. But I made pretty good progress. And now, where am I up to? Starter motor. Do the starter motor, then I can crank it over and try firing it up. I've got now power to the coil, which goes to the distributor. I've got it at the points, so that should be ignition sorted. I've obviously got to time it in. I do my timing, so I'll play with that and get it as close as I can. Carby's all sweet. Sorted out that vacuum leak. Just for a peace of mind, let's check the oil. It's got oil. It looks crap, but as long as it lubricates, I really don't mind. As long as it lubricates, I'm happy. Other than that, I'm sure there's other things I've forgotten, but at this point we're making good progress on it. But it's just getting too dark, getting too late in the day, getting dark, being winter now. So that'll do for today, and we'll get stuck back into it my next trip here. So this is day 2 of me trying to get this running. Now, it's not going to be a refresher for yous, because yous have just literally seen it, but it's been a few weeks for me, so I need to refresh myself on what I've done. So I blocked that vacuum leak off. I've actually since got some hose that'll actually run from manifold to the oil separator, and another one from the manifold to my brake booster, so that'll sort that out. I mounted the carby onto the manifold, secured it properly. The top half of the carby I've secured down and put the missing screws in. What else have I done? Spark plug leads, fuses. My battery cables. And got power to the ignition. Okay, I think I'm up to date. So my plan today is to tackle getting the starter motor in, and I want to make this engine bay a bit more complete. So I'm thinking I'll put see if I can get the radiator back in, the hoses, the fan, the belt, chuck all those bits and bobs back in. I've got something to block this off. I've also got something to block that off as well. So that's those two blocked off. And so once the starter mode is in, then I can start turning it over. I need to time it in. So it's a bit dark down there, but there's a mark on my crank pulley, and I've got to clean this up here on the casting, the front casting of the engine, because there should be some markings on there, I'm guessing. So I'll time that in, and then we'll be pretty well close to giving this trying to fire it up. I will be chucking on a throttle cable as well. Missing a throttle cable. I'll chuck that on as well. Otherwise, I think we're pretty well sweet. So let's tackle into it some more and see if I can at least try to get it started today. So I was getting ready to try to time the ignition in, and having a look at the markings, it only looks to tell me top dead center. As you can see there's a marking on the front casing of the engine, and there's a single mark on the crank pulley. So I just have to work with that. It doesn't actually tell me any degrees, just top dead center. So what I'm going to do is take the cover off and then suss out where the top dead center on spark and not exhaust. Make sure I don't have it 180 degrees out. So I'm going to get stuck into that. I've also replaced this bolts that hold the cover on. I've replaced them because I was missing two, so I just replaced all of them. And I've just replaced them with these here. That's all they are. So I'm going to get this cover off and I'm going to suss out my timing. So I need to find I reckon it's a compression stroke. So as I turn this over, I'm looking at these two valves here. So that'll be the exhaust, that'll be the intake. So let's have a look. So fuel goes in, fuel and air. And then this should be compression. That should be top dead center there on the compression stroke. So it goes bang. Now this one should go down to let that exhaust out. There it is. So it lets the exhaust out. Comes up. Now it should be sucking in fuel and air. And we should be coming up. Let's have a look. I'm just winding it back a little. Yep. So we should be coming up to the compression stroke on cylinder 1, which should see. Now that's lined up. So that should be top dead center of cylinder 1 on the compression stroke. So now I need to time in my distributor and make sure my firing order is all sweet. So I'll see if I can reposition yours so you can see me do that, but the distributor is in a bit of an awkward position, so we'll see how we go. So I did have the firing order out because it's pointing towards what would be a plug here, and then so it'd be 1, then 2, 4, and then at the back 3. So 1, 2, 4, 3. I had number 1 pointing at the front. So I'll change that all around. So now all I've got to do is turn the ignition on, set this timing to where I want it, and then all I do is turn the distributor until it opens up the points for a spark. And then I'll fine tune it to where I want. Close enough is good enough. And then if I want to fine tune it, then I use the timing light. So I'm going to get into that. So the ignition timing has been set. I have advanced it ever so slightly, just in case, just to play safe. So from here, let's chuck in the starter motor and see if we can get her cranking over. And then we're pretty much in a position to try to fire her up. So I've got that starter motor all installed. It's a high torque one. So it's going to be interesting considering this engine probably got no compression, regardless if it ends up building any or not eventually. But sitting around for as long as it has been, I'm going to guess there's like essentially no compression in this thing at the moment. So that's going to be interesting to hear it turn over. But anyway, battery's all connected up. I'm going to chuck you on the tripod and I'm going to try my luck turning it over. Then we can try chucking some starter fluid down the carby and see if it fires up at all. So I've got my trusty ignition hot wire system going on here. So let's cross our fingers and hope we're one step closer by having it turn over. I'm getting nothing. So that's not a good start. Let's see if I can use something to arc out the solenoid and bypass the ignition. See if this will arc it out. There we go. There we go. So it turns over. Just need to try to work out why my ignition little do-wacky thing isn't working. Hang on. That could be the reason. I've got a plug here that's come off from the solenoid. Let's try that. Nah, still nothing. Let me try to suss out what exactly is going wrong, and I shall be right back with you. So still trying to work out why the starter motor won't turn through the ignition. So referencing off my blue two-door, because that's all working fine. It's the yellow and black and the black. They join onto the solenoid, and then obviously the positive straight from the battery, and then that goes to the starter motor. And so that's all wired up correctly. It's just, for whatever reason, not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I'm going to pull the solenoid out. I might give it a little bit of a smack, see if see if that'll help. Give it a bit of a clean up, see if there's I can find any damage or anything on it. I don't know, but I'll pull it out, I'll suss it out and see if I can get it working. So this is where we're at. I reckon I've got a dodgy solenoid. I just can't get it to work properly. So what I'm going to be doing is just bypassing it. So this goes straight to the starter motor, and then, oh, hang on, I do have the ignition, and then just bypassing the ignition completely. I've got the coil directly to the battery. Disconnect that just in case. So to turn it over, I'm purely just going to be going like so. So that's how it's going to turn over, and then my ignition to my distributor is going to be just hardwired to the battery, straight to the coil. So let's see if I can get some starter fluid down the carby, see if I get any action. So this is the moment of truth. Let's see if we get any life out of this engine. Or is it going to give us the same amount of grief as the two-door did? So let's find out. Oh, I reckon there was something going on there. Battery's a bit how you going. Let me connect it up to the Falcon and we'll give it another go. Cool, so I've now got the battery connected up to the Falcon's battery, so it should have a little bit more juice. Oh my god, this was so much easier than the two-door to get started. I actually got some life out of it then. We might actually have some luck getting this running. Getting an awful lot of blow-by through here. This engine is not going to be in the healthiest condition, but I'm getting a very positive response to it. So with any luck we can get this actual fired up and running. So what I might do some little adjustments to the carby. See if I can just tweak it right up, and we'll give it another whirl. need to go out and buy a lottery ticket. I cannot believe I just got this running. 29 years it's been sitting, probably not running. So last registered 95, and which is 29 years ago. And considering the actual condition this van is actually in, I would not be surprised if this hadn't actually ran since then, or very close to then. So I think it'd be fair to say around about 29 years it hasn't ran, and it just fires up like that. I'm gobsmacked. Considering the amount of trouble I had with my two-door, which I've actually had running previously, and I had that much trouble with that car. For this one to just honestly fire up like that and run, I don't know, I'm speechless. I am absolutely speechless. But there you go. So that's it for the will it run. And the answer is it runs. I don't know what else to say. That's just mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. So anyway, I'm going to tweak. I'm going to mess about with it a bit more and see if I can get it running a bit better, as in like use it through the ignition or whatever, like just piece it back together a bit more. But yeah, I've got a running engine. How? I don't know, but yeah. Wow. Absolutely wow. So, I, without expecting it to actually work, I got the fuel line and put the fuel line into the jerry, just on the other side of the car there, and tried my luck with the fuel pump working. To my surprise, the fuel pump works, and there's actually, doing its job, putting fuel to the carby. And I didn't have it on camera because I didn't expect it to work, but it should just run on its own now. I do have the idle tweaked up quite a lot, so what I might do is tweak that down a little bit. It's revving its absolute nut off. Let's see if it'll fire up on its own. Maybe it won't. Let's try some of this. Ah, of course. Got the ignition disconnected. Of course it's not going to fire up. Let's try now. Maybe I adjusted that idle a little too much. Let's tweak her up a bit. This carby is definitely seen better days. It's just leaking fuel everywhere. But yeah. doing what it's doing. Don't know what's cutting out. What else can I say? That is running pretty bloody good. Getting a little bit of heat through the engine now. Ridiculous amounts of blow-by, but I don't expect much less. But it's running pretty bloody good. Okay, so now I've got this running. I'm going to just try my luck to see if I can get it driving. So I'm thinking I might just see if it nudges backwards and forwards for a start. So I've connected up a throttle cable. As you can see here, all connected up. And I reckon if anything stops us from being able to do this, don't mind the fact that I've got no floor, is the clutch doesn't feel very good. So I don't know if that's going to work, but we're going to try anyway. So let me fire it up and let's see if it budges backwards and forwards. Even though that clutch doesn't feel very good, it engages very well. It moves. This car is just working too well. Everything's just falling into place. I thought this was just going straight to Sims Metal and just been scrapped because I was going to give up on it. This thing is just, I don't know, surprisingly, in every possible way. So, I'm thinking I'm going to jack now I know that the clutch and everything works and it selects its gears and does its things. I'm going to jack the back up and I'm going to just run it through its gears. So, I'm going to get stuck into that. So, this is as complete as I can get this engine bay to look. So, I've connected up a hose from the brake booster to the manifold, and then another one from the oil separator to the manifold. I've also found these hoses laying around inside the car, which are for the heater box. So I've connected that up and this one up. Found this laying around, so I chucked that onto the cap. Put the radiator in. It's not mounted in. I don't actually have the mounts to put onto the body, so it's just sitting there loose. It's also broken on the bottom. It's broken. Put the fan in, and the belt that was inside the car didn't actually fit this, so I'm gonna have to get a belt, Can't find a radiator cap. Solenoid I'm going to have to replace. I've given a quick squirt down with a whole heap of WD-40. That's why it looks so shiny. So that's pretty much as complete as this engine bay will get at this point. From here, I'm going to see if I can fire it up and drive it out of the shed and then back into the shed and see if I can actually say that the car's been driven to where it sits. So I'm going to give that a whirl. So I was about to drive the van out of the shed and film it, but there was a massive amount of smoke coming from the engine bay. This speedo cable, for whatever reason, must have had a current or something go through it, I don't know. But it was smoking hard. Like, it actually had a small little flame even. So, and it ended up touching the fuel line and melted my fuel line. So lucky it wasn't anything serious. But had to push the van out of the shed. And yeah, disconnecting the battery seemed to stop it. Have no idea how that happened, but that's completely knackered now. I've reconnected the battery and it seems to be fine, so I don't know what that was about, but I'm hoping before I have to finish up and head home, hoping I can fix this fuel line and do a quick video of it just driving out of the shed and then back in. So we'll see how we go with that. So here's the fuel line. You can see there how it's melted through where the cable was touching. Yeah, I am extremely lucky that that wasn't any worse than what it was. Lucky I got onto it as quick as I did, because that could have ended very badly. So I'm just going to cut it where it's good again and then run a rubber hose up to the fuel pump, wherever it is down there somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to do that and I'm going to try to get this video of it driving. It's all fixed. Let's quickly get this driving video done, and that'll bring us to the end of this video. So let's do it. So, just like my blue two-door, my orange Panelvan is now sitting where it drove. Drove out of the shed, back in. It runs, it drives. How? I don't know, but it does. So now I can officially say both my Escorts in here both run and drive, and drove to where they are now. So I am absolutely over the moon. I didn't expect this to pan out this well. I'm still amazed as to how well this actually runs and drives. It all happened so much easier than I thought. So anyway, that'll do us for this video. If you have any ideas as to what you'd like to see done with this van, let me know in the comments, because I actually have no plans for it. I don't know what to do with it. I've got my red van that I'd rather put time and money into. So if you have any ideas, throw them in the comments, let us know. Anyway, on that note, thanks for watching, and I'll see yous all on the next episode of Skid's Garage.